All right, guys, let's talk about my frog setup. Now, first things first, a lot of people freak out when they watch my frog highlight clips and it's listed 65-pound braid. It has nothing to do with the size of the fish. I'm throwing over boat docks, over ropes, over tree branches, over sharp berry bushes. 65-pound braid is 15-pound diameter. Not only does it manage really well when you're skipping and you have that momentum going, a lot of that thinner diameter braid tends to cut into the spool. Yes, you can't cast quite as far with the thicker diameter braid as you could, let's say, if I was throwing 30 or 50, but in those scenarios where I'm skipping around boat docks, behind trees, in berry bushes, I've broke off 50 on 8+ pound fish multiple times. Ever since switching to 65, I've had a couple incidences where maybe berry bushes cut me behind it and I've still broke things off. But this is my 4-wheel drive type of line right here. 65-pound braid is absolutely critical when it comes to skipping a frog in and around super heavy cover and structure. The rod I use, this is a STIX torque stick. This is a 7'4", medium heavy, leaning slightly towards heavy, right around 5 ounces, just about there. And this rod is super light. 5 ounces is a super light frog rod, and a lot of people freak out about that. But the reality is this rod has an 18-pound deadlift. This is a fast action, meaning bending more in the tip. When you hear action, don't ever associate it with the power of the rod. Action is just the taper of the rod. Okay, and the reason why you have to have a fast action is your cast placement, like making that perfect little hole. When you see me skipping through little targets and stuff, a fast action is what you need for that. If you have more of a moderate taper, meaning more bend back in the rod here, it's a little bit more cushion. Yes, you can get a little bit more range on your cast, but you're not as precise with where you are targeting. So the fast action is great for that. Plus the STIX torque stick can work really good for buzz baits, prop baits, spooks, you name it. But in regards to throwing a frog, this rod is critical. Now, I also designed this rod. If you don't know, STIX is my company, guys. So that being said, okay, 7'4", people go, oh, it's too long, or that's too short. And the reality is when you're watching these frog videos, okay, and you see these guys fishing a 7'6", they're throwing on top of mats. They're throwing on cheese. They're throwing on weed mats. They're making long casts. And the longer the rod, the better your hook set is at long range. Well, the reality is most people are throwing a frog. They're targeting up to trees. They're throwing next to boat docks. They're doing everything. They're also throwing on top of mats. So those guys, you're going to hear them preach 7 foot, 7'2". All right. I will tell you, rod length has nothing to do with the height of the angler. So if you're one of those people that's always thought, oh, I'm too short to have that long of a rod, or I'm too tall, I need a longer rod, really has nothing to do with it. It actually has everything to do with the performance capability of that rod and of that build. So the 7'4" is fantastic in between target casting and fishing mats. This is something I do a ton of. If your guys have watched me skip, okay, I think 7'4" is the exact perfect length for that. Anywhere from 7'2" to 7'4" is a perfect skipping rod. At 7'6", it's just really big at that point. But the 7'4", the lighter rod, makes it very easy to get those higher RPMs on my skips. All right, now the reel I'm using, you'll see me bounce around through different reels in the videos, and you'll see that some look very small in my hand and some look a little bit larger. This is a 150 Revo SX. And when I say 150, that's just the size of the reel, okay? It's the size of the spool. So you'll have a 100 size bait caster, which looks a little bit smaller. This is a 150 and 200's bigger. And all that is really your line capacity. Now, I have a 150 always set up in my boat, and I have a 100 set up as well. Do you need to do that? Absolutely not. All you want is a 150 high speed. Okay, when I say high speed, when I'm frogging, I don't fish a reel under a 9 speed. Okay, 1 revolution of the handle, 9 rotations of the spool. That's a 9-to-1. Okay, very simplified. This Revo SX 9-to-1 is fantastic. The reason for this is if I see something on the surface, okay, if I'm casting up to a target, most likely my bite's going to be within a foot or two of that target. So once I'm a foot or two out, I need to be able to haul butt and get it right back into that target, because The more often your bait's on that target up close and the more efficient you are, the more eats you're going to get frogging throughout a day. So that's why I use that 150 right there. I still have quite a bit of line with 65-pound braid to make a long cast and not be short lined on my spool. Now, in regards to me talking about a 100, why would I do that? It fits really, really well in my palm, the smaller size than this. Now, I'm skipping to targets 25, 35 feet away from me and going fast, okay? It felt a little bit more ergonomic. If I'm going to pick one, it's a 150 size, 65-pound braid, the STIX torque stick, the 7'4". And now let's get into the frog, okay? I will throw hollow body frogs a lot. Now, if you see here, this is a kicking toad. This is the one I co-designed for Savage Gear. This is the tough toad, okay? Now, there's two bases, in my opinion, when you're frogging. You have being able to stay in place, a walk the dog style bait, and then a retrieval style toad. Now, you see the kicking feet on there. If I'm covering water and I'm reeling and I think the fish could be here, 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 I don't really want to walk the dog style frog. I would prefer a toad, something with a single hook to increase my hookup ratio. This is a super soft one. They don't let go of this thing. They eat the tar out of it. Now, hollow body frog, a lot of the time early in the year or later in the year, once that water starts getting really cold or is just warming up out of the winter time, they want a frog walked in place. I will not use a kicking frog at that point. Typically, I'm going to throw a hollow body, although I am working on something for Savage Gear right now. I'm going to tighten that up. But that is my frog setup, guys. That's the STIX torque stick, STIXfishing.com. STIX is my company. It's a $130 retail rod. We have specials pretty often throughout the year, but it's a really, really good deal on a superior type of rod right here. That's the Revo SX 921. That's 65-pound TCB braid. That is the deal right there, you guys.